Hi and welcome to my latest news video update. It's Andrew Edge here and bringing you a video on Nigel Farage has called on Steve Reid to resign as he's hailed the local election U-turn a massive victory on the side of democracy, which again I do agree with, because obviously we've been waiting a while to see whether this would actually come on our side or not. And obviously all the elections that were cancelled or postponed, or whichever side of things you want to lean on, we have actually had the decision, and that has come out today, and actually we are now going to get all those elections go ahead in May, which is a huge massive victory for everyone. They all get to go to the polls. So without further ado, I'm going to play this video and then I'll go through the rest of the story with you.
Quite a huge victory for you at Reform UK.
Yeah, we're delighted. I mean, I was shocked last year when elections were cancelled. I mean, I get it, if you get a pandemic or foot and mouth disease, there are perhaps reasons why you might postpone elections in certain circumstances for...
Yeah, as he said, obviously, I can understand if it was like in a pandemic, you may postpone them. But obviously, when they've been postponed 1 year and then on to a second year, you would never postpone them again. It's just undemocratic.
Yeah, there were no good reasons for it happening last year. This year, the number of councils increased massively, including some all Tory-controlled, Norfolk, Suffolk, East and West Sussex, where for the second year in a row, elections were going to be cancelled. I was pretty shocked by this, and it's why we decided that we'd go to the High Court, we'd go for a judicial review. That was due to be heard this Thursday. The government obviously knew they were going to lose. The boss of the Electoral Commission said what they'd done was illegal. Clearly, the government's own lawyers believed they'd acted illegally, and so they caved in, and 4.6 million people, or should I say 4.6 million council taxpayers, because that to me is the key point, will now get the vote. So yes, it's a legal victory, it's a victory for our party, but above all, it's a victory for freedom and democracy.
Yeah, Nigel, will you be ready to fight these local elections? Many councils up and down the country, of course, weren't expecting them to be going ahead at all. Were you preparing to... Or did you see victory and think, well, we better get ready a bit early?
Well, I think actually, to be honest with you, all the parties will be in a slight state of panic this afternoon, saying, cripes, we've got a lot to do in terms of finding candidates and getting organised. But look, we've got the biggest membership of any party in the country. We've professionalised significantly over the course of the last year. We will be ready for May the 7th in all 30 of these areas.
Nigel, of course...
So there you go. We are actually ready as a party to go for these May elections, which is fantastic news for everyone, as Nigel is saying. So obviously we will have candidates to go in all these seats, so we will be fighting all those council elections, so hopefully we can win as many seats as possible, as well as across Wales, and gain the majority in Wales.
You being in government in some way or another, whether it be local councils or not, you then have to deliver for those local people. In some of your council areas, council tax has gone up. That's been a criticism aimed at your councils. Could this actually come back to bite you if those parties can turn around and say, you can't deliver what you promise?
It's amazing, isn't it? I've never promised once in the run-up to May the 1st last year that we'd cut council tax. How could we? We were inheriting heavy debts absolutely everywhere. Have we made £300 million of savings? Yes. Have we got plans to become more efficient and save more in the years to come? Absolutely. And if you look at the council tax rises in areas that are run by Reform, they are lower than for the other parties in other areas. And look, you can't just come in to a broken local government system, wave a magic wand and change things overnight, but I believe we're off to a good start.
OK, Nigel Farage, I'd like to bring in Christopher Hope here, if that's all right with you. Christopher, over to you.
Nigel Farage, how many more candidates do you need to find now in order to deal with this? And what was the legal advice, you think, which the new advice the government got, which meant they folded today?
For us, it's another nearly 900 candidates that we have to find across those council areas and county areas, which for us is just not going to be a problem. On legal advice, Look, our lawyers look very closely at the legislation, could find no good reason for why Steve Reed, at the behest of Keir Starmer, I suppose, decided to do this. The boss of the Electoral Commission said it was illegal. Clearly, the government's own lawyers said it was illegal. That's why they've withdrawn. They knew they were going to lose in the High Court. And that's why I'm saying, I think for the Minister, Steve Reed, frankly, is this not a resignation matter?
Well, you think he should go? You think it's time that Steve Reed walked this? They're spending money here, aren't they, on restoring democracy to these 30 council areas. You think it's a resigning matter?
Well, I think if a minister acts in a way that's illegal and tries to, cancel people's democratic rights to vote whilst they're still being charged their council tax, I personally think that it really is a resignation matter. Yes.
Yes, with that point, yes, I do agree with what Nigel's just said. Steve Reed should go, because obviously he has tried to cancel democracy for, as you heard, the 4.6 million UK voters. So yes, I agree, Steve Reed should lose his job and resign. But will he? Probably not, because we know he's in a corrupt government. So it'll be interesting in the next week or so to whether he does or doesn't, but my money is on he probably will be protected by the Labour Party.
Well, let's see how that plays out. A moment there, I think, for Steve Reed to look to his heart. But he was obviously taking advice, having in previous years under Angela Rayner as well.
Well, look, if you go back to 2021, when there were some local elections cancelled, well, the reason given was the pandemic, and in certain areas there was probably a degree of justification for it. Similarly, with foot and mouth disease 25 years ago, there are certain circumstances in which a delay of 1 year, can be acceptable. It wasn't acceptable last year, and it most certainly wasn't acceptable this year. And the level of collusion between the Labour government, the Conservative Party, and even the Liberal Democrats in Cheltenham showed you that parties were using postponing elections as a means of not losing their seats. That's something that clearly wasn't acceptable to us.
Yeah, Nigel, of course, Kemi Badenoch would refute those claims. She's, of course, come out before saying she didn't want to act like a dictator when it came to forcing her local councils to hold elections. What do you make of those comments?
If Kemi Badenoch doesn't want to be a dictator, the question really is she a leader? How can you stand up in the House of Commons, senior shadow minister after shadow minister, and say on behalf of the Conservatives it's wrong that elections should be cancelled, and yet 5, of your council areas, in some cases for the second year in a row, want to cancel those elections? Frankly, on this issue, the Conservatives are all over the place and every bit as bad as Labour.
Can you see a case, Nigel, that there could be a snap election as a result of decisions like this? We're on, the 15th, 16th U-turn. I can't keep up. I don't think the British public can keep up. The government seems to be embroiled in multiple scandals. We've got the Mandelson files waiting to be released. We've got Chagos boiling over in the background. Multiple other things going on top of that too. Are you preparing yourself for a snap general election?
I don't think a snap general election is likely. I guess the only thing that would cause it would be a financial meltdown on the bond markets. I don't see a snap election coming, but I do see a government that is losing authority and credibility right across the board.
Indeed. What about a change of Prime Minister imminently? Are you prepared for that too?
Oh, the change of Prime Minister's coming. Don't worry about that. My guess is, after he survived last week, they'll wait until May the 7th, wait for him to carry the can, get rid of him, and then move further to the left.
Is there a candidate in Labour's top brass that worries you the most? An Angela Rayner figure, perhaps? She's flaunted as this working class hero. Are you worried about Angela Rayner taking over the government, Nigel?
Well, my money would be on Ed Miliband, I think. They'll say he's got the experience. They'll say he's been there before. If you put me up against a wall, my guess would be it's Miliband that takes over and carries on with his net zero fantasy, which is making Britain poorer and deindustrialising us. That's my guess.
Indeed. Let me read out the thoughts of Zach Polansky here, of course, the Green Party leader. He said, "I'm pleased the government has done another U-turn, attempting to council elections on top of scrapping jury trials, mandatory ID cards, criminalising peaceful protest, and harassment of journalists is part of a disturbing authoritarian trend of this caretaker Prime Minister." Do you agree with him?
Well, I never thought I'd say it, but on those particular utterances, I do have a very similar position to Zach Polansky, if not on very much else.
Yeah, of course, Green Party doing relatively well in the polls right now. Is there something wrong with the establishment parties as a whole here, Nigel Farage? Because, of course, they're all slowly dropping in the polls, and yourself and the Green Party are polling relatively well at the moment.
Look, you know, since just after the First World War, in this country, it's been Tory v Labour, it's been two-party politics. That is now over, completely, totally over, and you won't see the like of it again.
All right, but thank you very much for joining us, Reform UK leader there, Nigel Farage.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon.
So there you go. As he says at the end as well, the two-party system is over, which used to be obviously a Labour Tory. It's now going to be between Reform UK and the Green Party going forward. But obviously, if you were to look at the polls at the moment, it's a massive win on our side of things, because the Greens are still polling at only 12 to 13%, whereas we're still in the 30s. So it would be a massive poll advantage to ourselves. So obviously, that's where we'd be looking at the moment. So with this U-turn victory, it's massive in on our shoulders, because obviously we can field the 900 candidates, as you heard Nigel saying, and obviously that does include several mayoral candidates we will be fielding as well, and all four of them we should be fighting for the victory as well, because when we looked at them prior, we had an 80% chance of winning them, and I still think we should still have that high chance of winning, even though there's been the ups and downs on them. So I'm looking forward to us fighting all them and see how many seats we can get by the end of it. Because if it's 900 more, we should come out of this nearly the biggest party across the country with council seats. So it'll be massive for our party if we can win all this. So May 7th is going to be the biggest day in this country, not just for Reform, but to the end, to end Keir Starmer's term as Prime Minister, and then see what happens. But again, thanks for watching this video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thank you very much. Cheers. Bye-bye.